Hey guys, so I recorded this video about the biblical perspective of love a few weeks back, probably like 3-4 weeks ago. However, I accidentally deleted that video and uploaded a totally different video in the place of that video. Didn't mean to do that. Thankfully, it was pointed out to me by my sister-in-law, so now I am re-recording that video, and so I want to talk to you today about the biblical perspective of love using the English Standard Version of the Bible, using for chapter 1 Corinthians chapter 13. This chapter is all about love, okay? And it's going to give you a better understanding of what love is. And I talk about this all the time. I talk about love, right? But I talk about it from the frequency standpoint. Let's understand what it is from an action standpoint, from a 3D physical standpoint, and a spiritual standpoint, because it's not just, love is energy. So we have to understand what is that energy, because if we don't understand the energy itself, then we can't understand love. So before I begin, I just want to state for the record, I do not subscribe or ascribe to any particular religious programs, texts, any of that. I do find wisdom within the Bible, and for that reason, I do use sometimes the wisdom of the Bible in order to better explain my spiritual insights, okay? So 1 Corinthians chapter 13 was always my favorite chapter in the entire Bible, and I was a Christian/Catholic for 37 years. No, 30 years, sorry. 30 years. Okay, so I want to note too that I am using the English Standard Version. I will read exactly what it says in the English Standard Version, chapter by chapter. Verse by verse. But I want to state that if you are unfamiliar, then this is something that you should know. Words matter, right? So if you look at the English Standard Version versus the King James Version, the King James Version does not use the word love; it uses the word charity. We're going to unpack that, okay? So, first things first, let's talk about the connotation of the words charity and love. Dictionary definition, Webster's dictionary definition of charity is generosity and helpfulness, especially towards the needy or suffering, while love is a strong affection for another arising out of kinship or personal ties, also attraction based on sexual desire, affection, and tenderness felt by lovers, and last but not least, affection based on admiration. So, if we're looking at the connotation of the word, meaning the weight, the taste it gives you in your mouth, if you hear the word charity, it feels like something you have to do or something that you absolutely love to do. This is like a two-weight word, right? So some people are like, ugh, I gotta give my tithing to the church. That's charity, right? I have to do this. I have to give this. I have to give. Okay, so charity feels like a very action-based giving word. Maybe not even to somebody you like. And so there's absolutely no connection there, right? There's a separation. You're just giving to somebody else, okay? So they take the connection completely out of this chapter by using the word charity. You replace that and you look at the connotation of love. Love is giving, but giving out of affection, giving out of kinship, out of personal connection. There's that connection versus separation. Okay, so if you know anything about what I believe about religion, religion is there to separate us, right? That's why there's so many different religions and why we all fight about it, right? It's there to separate us, while love is there to connect us. So this is the charity connotation versus the love connotation. We take out the want because of love, and giving out of love, giving out of connection, and we replace it with giving out of connection. Now, think of charity as giving out of necessity. Like, I have to do this, 444 on that timer when I said necessity, okay? Versus giving out of wanting because of admiration, because of connection, because of tie. Separation, connection. Got it? Okay, let's go ahead and go into this First Corinthians chapter 13, verse 1. I will read each one verbatim, then discuss, okay? Like, this is going to probably be a longer video. There are 13 verses in 13. 13. Go figure. Break that down into a 4/4, which is divine protection, by the way. Okay, just wanted to let you know. All right, so 13:1. Again, using English Standard Version. Okay. If I speak in the tongues of men and of angels, but have not love, I am a noisy gong or clanging cymbal. This, if you look at it from the charity perspective versus the love perspective, okay, this is a huge difference, right? Because we're looking at this from like, if I'm trying to speak to man and I don't connect with you, if we don't have an even energetic exchange when we are speaking, one created in love, we're not resonating on the same frequency. We're not resonating. You can't understand me because we have no connection. Make sense? Okay, so let's talk about that from the perspective of like, I'm going to keep this like super duper like analogies, a lot, okay? So let's take this to the perspective of, let's look at the words of Jesus, okay? A lot of his parables don't really make sense in our day and age because of the fact that we don't live the way that they lived, right? We're not shepherds. We have absolutely no connection to tending sheep, so it doesn't really make much sense to us. So it can be confusing, right? But if you were to change that and change that into, let's say you're a content creator, right? And you have 100 subscribers and you actually care about your subscribers and you notice that one of your subscribers removes from their subscription and you're like, wait a minute, I know that person, something's wrong. So you go and you message that person and you're like, hey, what's going on, man? Is something upset? Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Now you are noticing not just the 99 who are still there, you're noticing that one person that left, and you want to keep that one person because that one person is still important, just as important as those other 99 people. You want to keep a connection with that one person. And so you ask that person, hey, what's going on? Not in a desperate kind of way, but in a concerned kind of way, a loving kind of way, a way that says, I want to connect. Where can we reconnect? How can we retain that frequency resonance? Okay? If you have absolutely no idea what I am talking about and you are stuck in low vibrations and fear and anger and jealousy and hatred and all of that stuff, what I say can probably make you angry or make you fearful or turn my truth into like, oh, that don't make any sense. She's fucking crazy. Okay? So if you don't have love in your heart, you are not resonating on the same frequency, meaning my words don't make sense. Get it? If you are not resonating on the same frequency, my words don't make sense. This is the difference between that charity or the separation and love. Okay, now I'm going to go even further from this. Okay, like I want to talk about like the false light for a moment. Okay, what I mean by false light is the narratives that you hear that are very similar, but there's a very slight nuance change, like the word charity versus the word love. If you have absolutely no understanding of the connotations of words or the like weight of words, as most people don't because they don't study words like I did, you have absolutely no idea that they are telling you that you're not connected, that you are separate, and that this act is done out of duty, not connection. See the difference? This is a false light narrative. It's all about charity. No, it's not. It's all about love. If you don't have love, you are not resonating on a frequency where you can understand the message of love. I do not, in any way, shape, or form, want to attack anybody's beliefs. I do not. Because I believe we all have our own path to understanding life and spirituality. But I will tell you the truth. And the truth is, words are used to manipulate you into doing things you wouldn't want to do if you knew what they truly meant. Absolutely. If you don't know things like etymology, like the actual, like where the word came from, you don't even realize the spell you're being put under. Because words are spells. When we speak, they hold weight. The words we say matter. So if you were going around saying charity over love, you are disconnecting yourself from everybody else, creating that separation which causes fear. You wait and wait and wait for a savior to come because you don't realize that you yourself are the savior. And they don't want you to realize that, because if you save yourself, then you don't need the middleman anymore, right? Where are they going to get their tithing money? How are they going to pay their bills? Just saying. Charity versus love. Separation, connection. Let's look at the next chapter, or the next verse. Okay, so if you don't have love, you're not on the same frequency, it doesn't resonate, it will go into the egoic mind, and it will trigger fear, anger, guilt, shame. Think about when you're in church. Think about like how often they make you feel guilty and shameful. Why? Why would God ever want you to feel guilty and shameful? Those are very low vibrational energies, very low. I would have to look it up, but I'm thinking like below 50 hertz. Love's at 400. So these are the feelings, these are the emotions, these are the vibrations that they invoke in church. This is one of the reasons why I had to leave the church. I was like, I don't like the way that it makes me feel. I don't. So let's move on to the second verse, okay? And if I have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have faith so as to move mountains but have not love, I am nothing. Let me explain this. This is talking about like black magic, okay? And I'm like 100% serious about this, okay? This is talking about black magic. If you are practicing black magic, you are doing any kind of magic whatsoever at all, and you're not doing it with love in your heart, you are earning yourself karma. And I'm going to be honest with you. It's not as powerful as love magic. And I'm not even saying love magic like I don't even like saying love magic. Like it's really honestly, I don't even like the word manifestation. Like those words are all buzzwords that like people use to trick you into doing things like 3D. Like you're trying to manifest money, which is a form of control. You're not even realizing that, the false light is using words you don't understand from a deep level to manipulate you into doing things that are against, well, not even against anything, but like they trick you into using your free will for things that you wouldn't want to do. Okay? So black magic, if you are doing black magic, you are doing magic without love in your heart. For example, if you're trying to manifest without actually doing the work or actually having the love in your heart, and you are just sending out like requests to the universe over and over and over again, but you're not vibrating at a frequency of love, you're not going to get it. Without love, you are nothing. If you cannot vibrate at this 400 hertz and higher, you have nothing. You are nothing. your magic can very easily be reversed because it's nothing. Okay? It doesn't matter if you can see the future. The future changes every single second. And without love, you don't even understand that. You don't understand that your timeline is going to lead to destruction of you because you can't see far enough down the road. And karma always comes for its energy. Always. If you're not on the right timeline, you won't be able to see the future. Trust me, I know. I always wondered why I could never see myself past a certain age. It's because I wasn't looking down the right timeline. Distraction. Sorry, squirrely mind. 1555 when I said that. I am going to start embracing the number 5 as freedom, by the way, not change. Okay. 13.3, 133. If I give away all I have, and if I deliver up my body to be burned, but have not love, I gain nothing. I would like to look at this from the perspective of those people that do videos of themselves giving to people out of a very selfish place in their heart for views, for fame, for glory, not altruism. And they give and give and give, not altruistically, but so they receive. This is not giving out of love. And you will gain nothing. Eventually, the energy will return to where it belongs. This is not a threat. This is the way of the universe. It is a mirror. If you reflect into its selfishness, it will give back to you selfishness, which means it will take everything, just like you took everything. Without love in your heart, when you are doing these things, giving, when you are sacrificing. For example, yesterday I cleansed my chakra, but instead of just cleansing, I gave that as a sacrifice to the universe, to Gaia, to the collective. So that everything that I have gone through, every pain, every memory, every wonderful thing that I have ever gone through that was stuck in my chakra, I poured that out and allowed it to go back to the collective. So even those who do not understand what I am talking about will feel lighter, will feel like, oh, that's interesting. Maybe I should work on that without even consciously knowing it, because we are all connected. We are all connected. We are all one. And if you give unto the world with selfishness in your heart, you are giving nothing. And you will gain nothing. Energetic return is a thing. What you give, you get back. So if I give all that I have with love, it will be returned to me with love. But if I give out of selfishness, it will be returned to me in selfishness. All right, let's move on to 13.4. Love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant. Okay, let's talk about this. Okay, so love is patient. Patience is probably one of the hardest lessons you'll ever learn in your entire life. And why is that? Because it takes time to learn patience. Patience. I will explain this to you in a particular way. So, I in a personal, I don't want to say relationship, but interaction with a person. Okay, so I met someone, and there was a connection. However, neither of us was really prepared for that level of connection. I needed to heal, they needed to close cycles, whatever. I understood that, and I was patient. And I did not. It took a minute to be patient. Trust me, it took a minute. I did not judge. Okay, I was not envious of anybody else in that person's life. I was not anything but kind. And I didn't sit there and say, well, I'm ready, why aren't you? No, never arrogant. Never arrogant. Because love understands that we all have our own path and our own journey. Okay? Just because we're all headed to the same place doesn't mean we have to experience it the same way. There are a million paths along the way. Why should every single one of us walk the same exact one? That wouldn't be experiencing anything. We'd all be in the same line. And I don't like lines. They're boring. But hey, there's a path on my left. I wonder what's down there. I'll meet you guys down the road. Okay. Go down that path, and guess what I found? Waterfall. Or this one time, I was like, my GPS tells me to go this way, but I'm not going to. I'm going to go the other way. I found a mountain with a lake on top and a couple of springs and creeks. It was wonderful. It was so wonderful. I loved it. I went hiking for like 3 hours. It was great. Because it's not about that destination. We're all going to the same place. It's not about the destination. It's about the way we get there, which is why we can never judge. It's silly. We're all going to end up in the same place. Why does it matter if this person decides to take that path when I decide to take this path? We don't have to come, and we can separate. Maybe we'll meet down the road. Maybe the paths cross again. Maybe we needed further growth. So in that case, I understood. I was like, okay. Have at it. I did not feel any kind of negative feeling because of the fact that I have love. I have love for all of the people that have left my life. I have compassion for all of the people that have left my life. The next chapter, or the next verse is 13:5, and it picks up with, or rude. It does not insist on its own way, just like I was talking about. It is not irritable or resentful. Exactly what I was just talking about, because love understands the different paths. Love understands that each and every one of us is here to experience a different journey. We're not supposed to experience the same exact journey. We're not. If we did, that wouldn't be experiencing. Again, same exact thing. So I'm not going to be rude to somebody else because they believe something different than me. Because that's not love. I'm not going to sit there and preach what I believe and say, you're going to hell because you don't believe what I believe, or you're just wrong. I'm not going to be rude. I'm not going to be arrogant. I'm not going to think I know better than anyone else. I'm just telling you what my perspective is, what my understanding is, because we have a finite mind and God is infinite. The finite cannot understand the infinite. Let's look at the frequency again. This is fear, right? This is the bandwidth of fear. This is the bandwidth of love, okay? If this is your bandwidth, this is the bandwidth of love. How are you going to be able to get all that information? It's the same exact thing with the infinite soul versus the finite mind. The infinite soul understands a lot more than this. This is love. This is fear. Yeah. This is your alarm system. This tells you, hey, your life is in danger. It thinks in death. This thinks in eternal life. This knows that just because this particular existence is over doesn't mean that the whole thing is over. So it doesn't care about death. Because it knows when death comes, that was the end of that contract. This doesn't understand that. And this is the difference between love and charity. Okay? All right. So it does not insist on its own way. Like I said, I would never tell everybody, hey, you're going to go to hell if you don't believe what I believe, or this is the exact way, because everybody has their own interpretation, because everybody has their own experience. Everybody has their own wisdom. Wisdom is not information. Wisdom, it comes from within. It is the experiences that you have had. Information comes from the outside and goes into your brain. Wisdom comes from here. So my understanding may be different from yours, because even though we're walking the same path, you're looking over here and see a flower. I'm looking up there and see a cloud that looks like a mailbox. Totally different perspectives, right? Totally different experience. I'm looking up, you're looking down. We're not experiencing the same thing. That's the exact same thing in life. So there's no way that I can tell you that what you think is true is wrong, and there's no way that you can tell me that what I believe is wrong. Right? Because we don't know. We have different perspectives. This is the difference, because love understands that. And this comes into one of that's 13:7. We'll talk about it in 13:7. Okay. So it is not irritable or resentful. Because love is patient. So if love is patient, how could it possibly be irritable? Love is kind. How could it possibly be resentful? I understand that everybody has their own path and own journey and own purpose, okay? Some people come here to purposefully be frequency disruptors. It's not something bad on their soul. It's a way to teach you a lesson. It doesn't mean that they're a bad person. It just means that that's their mission. And that's exactly how I see everybody in my life. They were fulfilling their part of the mission in my mission. Particularly my ex. My ex was the catalyst for every single change I have had in the last 4 years. I had to completely change myself to be exactly where I am today. And I did that because of the frequency disruptions. I started to realize I didn't like the way I was feeling because of the frequency disruptions. I didn't like the pendulum. I hated it. I wanted balance. And so, through him being this frequency disruptor, he ignited the change in my life. And I am nowhere close to being the same person I was 4 years ago. I am nowhere close to being the same person I was 6 months ago. Because I had a massive catalyst. I went from fear to love. Huge difference. I promise you, it's a huge difference. Okay, so 13:6. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with truth. I love this. I love this. I love this. Yes, I can look at the things, the times that I was betrayed, the times that I was stabbed in the back, the times I was talked about. I can look at all of that and be like, oh, I don't like that. I don't like the way that the way it was. But I can rejoice in the fact that I know the truth. I know the truth. And that is all that matters. Someone can sit there and squawk all day long. I'm going to be here, the songbird. Right? Because without love, clanging, that's it. I was picturing one of those little monkeys that we had when we were kids, like with the little cymbals. That's exactly what they sound like. Because there's no love. And without the love, their words fall flat in front of me. I can't understand them. I mean, I can understand them. You know what I mean? Get it? They don't hit. They don't land. They just fall flat. Because just as much as fear is this little tiny bandwidth and love is this big one, right? Just as much as this can't understand all of this doesn't sync to this. So this is like, this, and when we're talking about a lower frequency, it's very low and slow. It's like, whereas a higher frequency is very fast and has large propagating waves. This is much bigger and much more, this isn't going to bother me. it's going to be way down here, like at my feet, and I'm like way up here, like in the clouds, like happy as can be, singing my little song while they're walk, 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 walk. Okay? That's the difference between love and fear. Okay? So, does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with truth. Every time I hear or speak truth, I raise my vibrations. It makes me extremely happy. It makes me so happy to do these videos because I feel the energy that is coming out of me. And the energy that is coming out of me is higher vibrational energy. Okay. 13:7. Love bears all things. Love believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. Now, I want to say specifically on this particular thing, 13:7 was always one of the ones that I just absolutely was like, yes. Now, I want to tell you, I have been called naive a lot in my life. A lot. And that's because of the fact that when I approach a new person, when a new person comes into my life, I do not judge them based on their past, based on my past, or based on any kinds of judgments that there could possibly be. I allow them to be in my energy, and I believe them as though that they are coming at me with love. It is only when I start to see the red flags that I walk away. Okay? But when people are in my energy at first, I give them all of my trust. Yes, this gets me hurt. Yes, this gets me trampled on. Yes, this gets me called naive. But when I have love, when I love, I bear all things, believe all things, hope all things, and endure all things. So when I say love bears all things, I want to put it to you this way, okay? When I help, being an empathetic person, being a former therapist, when I opened up for a session, when I opened up as a healer for a session with someone, or even just a conversation, a cry on my shoulder kind of moment, I open fully so that people can pour out that which no longer serves them. And I catch that. And I take all of that energy in. And before, it sat with me and I didn't know how to deal with it. Now I understand how to deal with it. Now I'll transmute it. And then I'll make it into something beautiful, and then I'll send it back to that person. Okay? I take on that energy so that they don't have to hold it anymore. I bear that weight. And then I turn it, and I twist it, and I untangle it, and I help them by allowing them to see the different perspective. That's what I do. Help them change the perspective, and then I send that energy right back to them, completely untangled, ready to swirl around them in a way that is comfortable for them. That's bearing all things. Believing all things can get tricky. You have to learn how to read the energy. If it induces any of the red flags, I'll do a video on the red flags here in the next day or two, energy red flags, things you should watch out when you're looking into wisdom, things you should watch out for when you're looking at spiritualist, because they've turned it into an energy, a cash cow. I'm always thinking of the golden calf, okay? They have turned spiritualism into another trap, so you got to be careful, okay? So, hopes all things. I love hope. Every time a person comes into my energy, I hope for the best for them. And trust me, I have taken on some energies that do not belong in my space. But I have taken on those energies and hoped for the best for those energies. I have tried to turn the sociopath into an empath. This is hope. When it's completely dark, having faith that the sun will come back again. Even in the most insanely dark places, the ones that are the furthest away from the light, inside of a deep, 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 dark cave, I will light the way with a match if I have to. That is love hoping. Okay. Endures all things. Oh, if you only knew the things I have gone through, both physical and spiritual, what I fight on a daily basis, what I have carried in my life for years and years, and still have the ability to pour out love. This is the capability of love enduring all things. To endure does not just mean to make it through. We are talking about so much resilience, and endurance takes stamina. It is a marathon. Love's in it for the long haul, motherfuckers. 100% long haul. To endure is a long period. So, 13:8. Love never ends. As for prophecies, they will pass away. As for tongues, they will cease. As for knowledge, it will pass away. Okay, let's talk about this in a prophetic kind of way, in a in an analogy. Okay, so love never ends. I want you to think of the infinity. Okay, I'm going to explain the infinity symbol in a way you've probably never thought of before. Okay, at the center is an X, right? Right there. We're going to state that that center is God, source, the infinite universe, the center of the universe, the light, the love, whatever it is you want to call that center. Okay, it's the center. And every single being, living, energy, existence, life, is traveling on this absolutely amazing infinite cycle. Okay, so you are in the middle. You are in the light, you are in the source, you are in the love. It is stillness, it is beauty, it is love, it is everything amazing and wonderful is what you consider to be heaven. Then you exit. And as you start to exit, the light, the love, it starts to fade. And you start to forget what it's like to be in that light and love. So you start over here and you go out. And the further you get away from the source of the light, the more you forget, the more you fear, the more you take, the more you end up in the devil energy. Because you forget what it's like to be in the source. And you think that you are separated because you're so far away from that love. You don't even know how to get back. But guess what? Something happens. Something changes. And then your trajectory changes. And you start to head back. And the closer and closer and closer you get back to that source of light, the more you remember. Until, pop, you're back in the light. And you totally remember everything. And you're like, oh. And then you venture back out because it's an never-ending cycle. And you forget again. And then you go back in. And you're like, oh. And then you go out. And you come back in and out. In it. Never ending. Okay? So, love never ends. The love is always there, which is why I believe that love is our second most valuable gift. I know that this is like way out there, but I don't care what other people think. I think free will is our number one gift and love is our second gift because love is literally everything. Love will always be there. Free will is our choice to choose that love. free will, in my book, is our greatest gift. Okay? So, as for prophecies, they will pass away. Why? Why? Why will the prophecies pass away? Think about this, okay? If you have a prophecy, actually, let's look at all three of these together: the prophecy, the tongues, and the knowledge. Okay, the prophecies are that which we see in the future, right? That which we see coming. The tongues is that which we say, and the knowledge is that which comes into our brain. Knowledge is different from wisdom. Understand the difference. Knowledge, wisdom. Knowledge comes from books and other people. Wisdom comes from experience. Okay? So these three things, and we talked about the prophecies in the, what was that, chapter, or the verse 13:2, okay? It actually goes further into the prophecies in the next one. So we might continue the prophecies in a minute, okay? The tongues and the knowledge will fade away because what we understand with our finite minds as humans isn't the full understanding of what it is, because the finite mind cannot understand the infinite. Love is infinite. Love is everything. Love is everything. Everything was created from love, therefore everything is love. So the finite mind cannot fully understand love as the infinite, because love never ends, which means love is infinite. Okay? It doesn't matter how many times you travel all the way out here to the end of the light, and you're going to come back. And when you come back, you'll be fully accepted, no matter what you did when you were out here. We have to experience both. Because if you cannot understand war, you cannot understand peace. If you cannot understand darkness, you cannot understand love. If you cannot understand fear, you cannot understand love. You have to experience both sides of the pendulum in order to find balance in the center, which is source. Both ends come back to source. Love it. Okay, so let's look at the next thing. Okay, so this is the reason why I want to talk about the tongues and the knowledge. Okay, so the tongues is we had telepathic communication prior to the Tower of Babel. Okay, the Old Testament God removed the ability for us to be able to communicate telepathically because of the Tower of Babel. They did not want the truth to be known, and so they separated and created different languages, okay? This is not just, willy-nilly bullshit. This comes from your Bible. This comes from, an understanding beyond just the 3D, okay? Telepathic communication is something we are still capable of doing once we learn how to tap into that frequency, the frequency of love and connection, okay? You have to be connected in order to be able to communicate telepathically. So the tongue, the use of the mouth, the use of words will cease to be necessary once you are connected in love. Okay? Now, the next is the knowledge. The knowledge, the shit that they fed into our brains, the programming, if you will fade away when you finally step into the frequency of love. Dude, you have no idea how crazy it gets. Like, really, like, you were like, well, okay, I didn't realize all of that nonsense wasn't true. Huh, now it makes more sense. And it makes more sense when you read it from this perspective. And that's exactly why they changed the word to charity. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love, love. Love is all we need. Okay, 13:9. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. Let's go ahead and talk about that. Hold on one second. I have a child at the door. Okay, so my niece came by. Wonderful. I'm really excited about that. What were we on? Oh, right. For we know in part and we prophesy in part. Again, so when we don't have love, we are stuck in the egoic, fear-based mind. And for that reason, we can only partially see. Like I said earlier, if we're not on our highest timeline, we will only see a certain point of that timeline. We won't be able to see past that timeline. It doesn't matter if we have all of the prophetic abilities in the world. If we are not in love and we are in fear, we can only prophesy in part. We can only understand in part. Because again, this is the fear-based frequency bandwidth. This is exactly what this is saying. This is the frequency bandwidth of fear. If love is here and God's even like larger, you can only understand parts. You cannot understand the entire thing, which is why even at a frequency of love, and we're going to say that God is like a bandwidth that is like 20 feet tall. This is the frequency bandwidth of love. We still can't understand everything about God, which is why we cannot judge others for their understanding of God, because they may see God at a different level in that bandwidth. Their 400 may be like way up there, while mine's like way down here, and then somebody else's is over here, and then over here. It's all depending on your personal experience. So there's no way that we can judge, because all of us, even in our frequency of love, until we return to the center of that infinite symbol, we cannot understand everything about the divine. And this next one tells us exactly that. 13:10, but when the perfect come, the partial will pass away. Okay? So when you come into source or the universe or God or heaven or the central sun, however you want to look at it, whatever you want to say, when you enter in there, all partiality, all partialness of this runs away, because now your frequency, you can handle the entire frequency of God. You cannot here, right? As a 3D being, the frequency that you can take in is finite, not infinite. And if the frequency of God is infinite, and we are finite, we can only handle this much. Hell, we'll say we can only handle as much as our body is high. That's still not infinite, right? So, 13:11. This was one that I never truly understood when I was like younger, but now I understand it much better, okay? So, 13:11. When I was a child, I spoke like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I gave up childish ways. Now, okay, I want to remind you that it is written in red, meaning the words of Jesus in the Bible. It is written in red that we must have a heart like a child in order to approach the Father. Innocence, right? So when we are a child, we think, act, behave, do everything, imagine like a child. When we grow up, we understand things differently, okay, right? Okay, so let's hold on to this as separate as our childlike wonder compared to our adult reasoning, okay? Now, when we are taking it back to 13:10, when it talks about going into the, when the perfect come, the partial will pass away, okay? So once you have reached this adulthood and you start to reason like an adult, does that mean you're necessarily finite? No. You're still growing. You're still learning. This is a journey of healing. So down here, as the child reasoning, you're in your soul as a child. You are innocent, right? That's why you could see things when you were a child, before the world made you think it was crazy. That's why you had imaginary friends. They weren't imaginary. They were your guides. They were other little spirits of other little children. This was before they erased your memory of innocence and childlike wonder and made you reason like a man. Then after that, we start to lose love. We start to separate. We stop connecting to the infinite. 13:12. For now, we see in a mirror dimly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, then I shall know fully, even as I have been fully known. This is so beautiful. I love it. This is talking about when two souls come together. This is the twin flame journey, if you will. Okay? So for now, we see in a mirror dimly. This is the energy reflection of twin souls. Twin souls are a mirror of each other. I am not talking about one person is one way, one person is the other. No, I am talking about the mirror reflection of each other. That which is a shadow in you is light in the other. That which is a light in the other, or shadow in the other, is light in you. This is exactly what that means. So before you meet, for now, we see in a mirror dimly. We see that which we don't like in each other. Okay? And it's because it's something within ourselves that we have to fix. So when we come together face to face, we will see that reflection fully and clearly and know that other person and be fully known by that other person, because you are connected in love. When you are connected in love, this doesn't even have to be a twin flame, okay? Understand that. That does not, I'm just saying that is a twin flame journey, okay? You come together energetically. You understand that which is reflecting back on one another. You understand what is a projection, and you see clearly the things that you have to fix in yourself. Desperation, lack of fear, lack of understanding, lack of love, self-love, okay, fear of abandonment, all of those things. You see them clearly in the energy, dimly in the energy. It's something you have to work on yourself. And then when you come face to face with that person, you can see fully and understand fully and know fully that person because of that connection. You are on the same frequency. Your hearts speak to one another. It doesn't have to be said because it knows. This is the same with other people that you love with. This is where the telepathic communication comes in. This is where the partially understanding the prophecy read goes away. Once you connect into the collective Christ consciousness, the love of the conscious collective, there is no longer a lack of understanding. There is no longer competition between others, because then you know in that moment, you and I are the same. We are connected, and we can experience each other's experiences and then disconnect, so we are not attached, but we are collectively together. Detached, but connected. I know that's a hard thing to understand in this particular moment, but that's exactly what that means. Once you have connected to the Christ consciousness or love, once you have connected to that love, the truth is in front of you, evident, fully. Whether you see it the same way as I see it is not necessarily, it doesn't matter. We agree that we have a general understanding of what's going on in the infinite as finite beings. And we are connected by a string, by an energy string of love. And I've had this experience myself. I have two very dear friends with whom I am energetically connected. I know when they are having a hard time, because I feel the energy come into my chest and I'm like, whoa, that's not mine. I'm going to go call my friend. That is the understanding fully when we come face to face. Okay? There's no need for words. There's no need for knowledge. There's no need for prophecy because you already know. Because you're connected to love. And love is everything. Make sense? Does to me. Okay, last one. Excuse me. 13:13. So now, faith, hope, and love abide. These three. But the greatest of these is love. I absolutely love this. Okay, so we're going to look at this from the perspective of the Trinity. Okay, so now faith, hope, and love abide. They are together. Okay, let's look at it at a triangle. Okay, love here at the top, and then hope and faith are the two corners at the bottom. Okay, and if we look at this as the Trinity and we put 0 up at the top, and then we have Spirit and Son at the bottom. Okay, if we look at it this particular way, we're going to look at it as love. Love is at the very top, right? And then we have the faith, the one who left and returned fully cleansed, fully connected. And this is what we call the Son, aka the ascended masters. That's what I like to think of that as, okay? The ascended masters. So you have the source, the ascended masters, and then you have the Spirit. The Spirit is all of us. Those of us who have hope. I have spoken about this before. Faith is unwavering. Faith is absolute knowing. Hope is wishing, wanting, knowing that wavering. Okay, so you have hope and things are going really well, and you have hope and you have hope and you hope, and then something, boop, and then you're like, bam, I don't have any hope. But then you build that hope back up, you build that hope back up, you build that hope back up. But this is knowing, absolute knowing, faith, that this is truth. And it is connected to love. The faith is connected to the love, and it's trying to climb up the mountain, but it keeps sliding back down about halfway. And trying to climb up the mountain, but it's sliding halfway. It has to do it this way. Get it? You have to go from hope to faith to love. You cannot go from hope to love. You have to build up that faith. Wow, that was a powerful freaking message. And I'm sorry, it was kind of a little long. But I absolutely love what came out of my mouth. I want you to know that I never actually research these things. I shouldn't say that. I do research some things. But when I got ready for this, the only thing I researched was the connotation of charity versus love. The rest of that all comes from a deep understanding of things like love, and being able to see the scripture for what it truly means, not what they told us it means. Looking at it and taking it apart piece by piece from the understanding that I have, that is a deeper understanding. And I'm not saying it's the deepest of the understandings, but if we're looking at depth, it's not a puddle, it's one of the Great Lakes. Maybe not the Mariana Trench, but I'm getting there. Okay? So I hope that this reaches the right person, because I have faith that it will help. And I love you. Bye.